All right. We are live. We are on the air. We are talking about Kansas. We got NASCAR in the heartland. We got Bubba winning without rain. We got Noah winning with rain. We got John Hunter Nemechek winning everything. We got the two greatest co-hosts mankind has ever seen in Aaron Simmons and Zachary Brandevold. How are you two this evening? Zach, let's start with you. What's going on in your world this evening?
Um, just just hanging out and oh man, it's been crazy couple weeks with changes in my job and everything like that. So just trying to get everything situated for that, but everything seems to be going smoothly so far. So glad to be here talking about racing with you guys.
All right. Aaron Simmons, how is your day going? Glad to have you with us, my friend.
Absolutely. As always, it is fantastic to be here. Today was a great day. I got to see my girlfriend for the first time in what seems like an age. I had a wonderful time today. Very tired because I woke up at the crisp hour of 5 in the morning, and I am I'm starting to feel because I'm not used to that. But um, but yeah, just glad to as always, just glad to be here. Glad to talk about racing because it's been a very busy day in the world of NASCAR already. Got a lot to talk about and a lot of discussions to get through today.
We do. And let's start off with the truck race. The whole NASCAR world was at Kansas this weekend. We had the trucks, we had Xfinity, we had Cup, we had different storylines from every race. So let's start with the truck race in Kansas. Now, the truck race, the Xfinity series, and the Cup series all run different schedules as far as when their playoffs start and how their playoffs work. So for the the truck guys, I'll get it out here in a minute. The truck guys, this was a cutoff race. So the Xfinity guys are not even into the playoffs yet, but the truck guys are already in their first cutoff race. So big time pressure there. John Hunter Nemechek comes out, and it has been a Kyle Busch Motorsports dominated season in the truck series, and that is not showing any signs of changing in the playoffs. John Hunter Nemechek won absolutely everything. Okay. He sat on the pole. He won stage one. He won stage two, and he won the race. So John Hunter Nemechek, what I think can be classified as a dominating performance, wins, but that does not mean there was not drama. Anytime you've got a cutoff race, you're going to have drama. Mostly the drama came in the form of Carson Hocevar, who came in below the cut line, thinking he needed to win. He tried to use a pit strategy and fuel strategy and nearly pulled it off. He was within one lap of getting it when basically John Hunter Nemechek caught him and flew by him, because I think he basically passed him, I think almost just right past the start finish line as they were taking the white flag. Hocevar runs out of gas, finishes second. At the time they were going through all this, his crew was telling him, you don't need to win to advance. You don't need to win to advance. Well, when they were telling him that, the guy above him in the points, and I've got to look this up to make sure I get the name right and see who it is, the guy that was above him in the points was running like 16th or 17th. By the end of the race, that guy was Christian Eckes. Christian Eckes rallied to a 10th place finish, and Carson Hocevar did need to win. So Carson Hocevar is now eliminated from the playoffs along with Matt Crafton. You could tell he was heartbroken. He has had so many close calls this year. He's ran his heart out so many races. It was really sad to see, but that is the drama that the playoffs creates, and I think that's part of what we tune in to see. And Carson Hocevar is 19 years old. He has got many brighter days ahead of him, but that was the truck race. It was dominated by John Hunter Nemechek, but it was not without drama. That is for sure. So, what did you guys think of the truck race? Give me your thoughts. Let's start with you, Aaron.
Yeah, it's pretty much just Nemechek all day. Um, of course, dominated. Stage one, stage two, ultimately just dominated the rest of the race. Um, but just I feel heartbroken for Crafton and Hocevar. Crafton, it seemed like it just really wasn't his year. of course, he's been very consistent. I mean, if we remember back to Pocono, he barely squeaked in. I mean, it was just barely squeaked in. And him being eliminated first round of the playoffs is very unlike him. Hopefully, he'll have a bounce back year next year. But Hocevar, I feel most heartbroken for because he had instances to where he has blossomed into a truck driver, but just could not finish up and could not seal the deal on some races this year. Of course, so I'm saying he's 19 years old. He's got plenty of time to work on his craft and rack up victories and wins. But I feel bad for Hocevar because he is easily one of the most entertaining drivers in the truck series by far. And every single week, it seems like I'm going towards his fan group, especially with the hats he's wearing. It's like he either has no shame or he's just doing it for the memes and for the lulz, and I fully respect that out of him.
Well, you're 19, you're allowed to do some crazy things. So that's something he may look back on when he's Kyle Busch's age and regret, or he may look back and laugh at. But one comment to add on Matt Crafton. Consistency has been his mark. Continuity has not, and I think that's maybe the problem. Matt Crafton is on his third crew chief this season, and I really think I'm not sure what the problems here or what's going on, but I think continuity is what that team needs right now. But Zach, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just about to back you up on that point. He has consistency, but like you said, continuity is just not great. I felt kind of heartbroken for him as well because I feel like he should be kind of having a stronger season than what he has been. I really thought he would be a championship contender, and clearly they just did not have it together as an organization this year. But yeah, I didn't get to catch too much of it. But it does not surprise me that John Hunter won. KBM has been really, really strong this season, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens these next couple rounds if anybody's gonna kind of challenge any of the Kyle Busch Motorsports drivers for the championship here.
Yeah, and if you remember last year, KBM was pretty dominant all of last season, right up until the championship race, and then they just couldn't pull it together at Phoenix at all. So I'm sure they've kind of got that Phoenix race marked on their calendar to say getting there is not going to be our problem. Winning it is going to be the problem. But let's move on to the Xfinity race. So the Xfinity race, it was Noah Gragson and Ty Gibbs, in my opinion. They were the two fastest cars. You knew it was going to come down to one of those two. It just seemed like it set it up all day long. They seemed like they were the class of the field. They finished 1-2 in stage one with Gibbs winning. They finished 1-3 in stage two with Gragson winning. And the race got shortened by rain. So basically, the NASCAR rules are a race is considered official if you either reach the halfway point in number of laps or you get to the end of stage two. In this case, it was the end of stage two that marked when the rains came and when they ultimately went to call the race. Now, interestingly enough, there's the saying that says you can't win the race on lap one. You can lose it on lap one, but you can't win it on lap one. Well, I'm going to add to that in this Xfinity race. You can't win the race on lap one, but you can win it on lap 76 of a 200-lap race, and that's what Noah Gragson did. Okay, it was a crucial restart. There were three cars that stayed out on old tires. Noah Gragson and Ty Gibbs are both backed up behind the guys with old tires. It gets crazy. It looked like it was at least 5 wide at some points on the restart. Noah Gragson shoves that number 9 Chevrolet right in the middle, comes out and grabs the lead on that restart. Ty Gibbs gets stuck behind Austin Hill and has a little trouble getting past the cars with older tires, specifically Austin Hill. That gives the lead to Noah Gragson. He held it until the rain came. They had one final restart with, I think, 4 laps to go to end the stage, and then the rains came again. And I think he used his track position to get the preferred line on the outside to gain the lead on that final restart. But Noah Gragson wins it. I think Ty Gibbs did come in second. I didn't even look, but I think he was in the second place. When I say he, Gibbs and Justin Allgaier have some bad blood, some serious banging into each other as they crossed the line at the end of stage two. I'm thinking that Allgaier must have been pretty upset with Gibbs over something. But at the end of the day, it was another win for Junior Motorsports. And this whole Xfinity season seems to be shaping up as Junior Motorsports versus Ty Gibbs. That seems to be where the competition's at. But Noah Gragson wins a rain shortened race. So with that being said, Aaron, what did you think of the race? Actually, let's start with Zach this time. Zach, what did you think of the Xfinity race?
Yeah, definitely interesting for sure. Happy for Gregson. It just feels like Junior Motorsports has been the class of the field pretty much all season. And I don't think it's shocking that they go out and they win Kansas type of track as well. But yeah, I saw the restart that Gregson was able to get past and eventually get the lead. I know some other guys were really trying strategy, and he actually sent it 3 wide in the middle and made it stick, and got the lead half a lap later. So he really had the move of the day, in my opinion. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Good race overall, and happy for Noah Gregson.
Aaron, what do you have to say?
Honestly, after watching this race, I think the championship is going to come down to Noah Gragson and Ty Gibbs. Just because they have been pretty much the two dominant cars all year, both with 5 wins apiece, which is insane. Allgaier, even though, Allmendinger, even though he has 30 wins in the season, he's been too inconsistent. Allgaier can be up there, but I don't think he has the speed. Of course, Barry, Hill, Jones, all really good drivers, but I don't think they have this nearly the speed capable to be with Noah Gragson and Ty Gibbs. But I really think Kansas was kind of the precursor to what we might see over at Phoenix at the end of the year. Plus, I do want to give a shout out to Ty Gibbs because all throughout the year, all throughout last year, we have been dogging him for playing the victim, for saying it wasn't my fault, it was his fault when he's on camera, but off camera, he's just hammering into him. But I want to give a big round of applause to Ty Gibbs for taking responsibility for his actions. When he hit Allgaier at the end of stage 2, he said, "Yeah, that was very immature of me. I should not have done that. I got too carried away with my emotions, and I sincerely apologize to Allgaier and to my team for causing that damage for basically no reason." And all that. So you know what, Ty Gibbs, I tip my hat to you, man. You are on your way to becoming a more likable driver in the eyes of fans and in the eyes of us. So congrats, man. So no one congrats, man. That's a great first step. Good job.
Before we move on to the Cup race, Mike Hora is calling it. This is Babe Ruth. He's calling a shot. Landon wins at Talladega. All right, we got a few weeks, but it's on YouTube. It's out there forever, so we can come back to it to see if you're right. Let's get on to the main event of the weekend, the Cup race, and the theme is more playoff drivers having struggles. Poor Kevin Harvick. He is out again, caught up in an accident. He and Tyler Reddick both involved in accidents, finishing 35th for Reddick, 36th for Harvick. Harvick's now had issues in both races in the first round and is pretty much in a must-win situation going into Bristol. Alex Bowman, who's kind of been a little bit the forgotten man at Hendrick Motorsports. You know, we've heard a lot about Kyle Larson. We've heard a lot about Chase Elliott. William Byers makes some noise. We haven't heard anything out of Alex Bowman all summer long, it seems like. I think he's even been on our who's not list here. He looks really strong early. Runs up front, leads a big portion of stage 1, leads stage 2. Alex Bowman is looking like the guy to beat. But we found out that it is Kansas, and Toyota, and more specifically 23XI, owns Kansas right now. 23XI winds up sweeping Kansas with Kurt Busch winning in the spring, Bubba Wallace in the summer. Toyota took 4 out of the top 5 spots in this race and 5 of the top 6 in the spring. This is clearly a Toyota track right now. Bubba Wallace earns his second career win, passing Alex Bowman in stage 3. Stage 3 pretty much, I think, went green the entire way. So we really got to see who had the long run car. We had a little bit of pit strategy of when do you come, how long do you wait. Both playoff races have now been won by non-playoff drivers. We had Eric Jones last week. We had Bubba Wallace this week. And poor Kevin Harvick, after having such a great late season resurgence, winning 2 in a row, is now 35 points below the cut line heading into a cutoff race at Bristol. So those are your major storylines from the Cup race. What do you guys think? What do you guys have to add to this? Let's go back to you for this one, Aaron.
I mean, it is. What is going on with these with the playoff drivers? I mean, these are supposed to be the 16 best drivers this season. Duking it out for a championship. But it seems like every single week, 3/4, if not all of them, have some sort of issue. These last 2 races. I think the only guy that hasn't had a complete issue yet is
Christopher Bell.
Christopher Bell, of all people. Yeah, probably. Either him or probably Suarez? I don't remember hearing anything about Suarez, but still, it's like every single one of these guys have had an issue. But yeah, just going back to Bowman here, that was the best race I think we've seen out of him probably since Vegas. Besides that, he's been non-existent.
Yeah.
And so I truly thought Bowman had it in the bag, but then here comes Wallace out of nowhere to win it, which I was happy for because I think that was a true legitimate win for him to finally shut the haters up, which also reading their comments after the race was hilarious and awesome. But still, I mean, he is the 18th different driver to win this season. It is. We want a parity, and NASCAR is giving us parity this season. We're getting everything out of this car that we wanted and more. Both good and bad.
Technically 21 if you count the two dual races and Blaney winning the All-Star race.
That's fair, yeah. That's absolutely fair. So, technically 21 winners.
So, Zach, what do you have to add to the Cup race?
Oh, what a mess. It's making for interesting race reviews for us every single week when we're like, oh, this guy had a really good playoff race. Oh, next race he gets into a wreck. Now he's below the cutoff line. So, yeah, I think the fact that nobody's won yet is even more interesting because when you look at it, around this time there would probably be like only 10 spots that you're playing for, right? And so anybody who there would be a larger points gap to get out of the round of or to get out of the round of 16 into the round of 12. And so yeah, everything's really close and tight, and we're heading into Bristol, which is probably one of the most craziest races, and I think there's going to be carnage. I mean, we've seen it before. It's a very easy for people to pull moves, bump and runs. They're talking about faster speeds than they've ever seen at Bristol before in the new car, and they're talking about it being potentially a 1-lane track, high line, with the only opportunity to do is run somebody in the wall. So yeah, I can't going back to Kansas though. Pretty freaking crazy. I'm so happy for Bubba Wallace. I think this win not only validates, and not that it should, but validates his confidence level and his talent for Bubba, but also the team. I think they've gone through a lot this season with the changing of the pit crew, changing of different people within the 43XI organization. And I think Bubba got down on himself early in the season after losing out, kind kind of being overshadowed in the first part of the season by Kurt Busch. And I think this just goes to prove that, he can get it done and he's there for a reason. So very, very happy for Kurt Busch. And we're going to have to see what happens with some of these cutoff drivers like Reddick, like Kyle Busch, and even Harvick. I think you can't count him out. I mean, he is in a must-win situation, but you really can't count him out at Bristol for sure.
Yeah, and I got to say, the first half of the season, I was very critical of Bubba, especially based on the fact that he was being outperformed so significantly by his teammate Kurt Busch. But I got to give the man credit. Since the 10th of July, he's got finishes of 3, 8, 5, 2. Then he hit a bad stretch of 13, 35th, and 11. Then he comes back with a 9th and a first place finish. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 9 races he's been in the top 10. So I got to give the man credit. He has really turned it around. He has done a great job. He has silenced a lot of critics, such as myself, with not just this win, but really his performance pretty much since about the middle of July.
Absolutely. And it's more than just it's not just, a complete car swap. It from my understanding, it was just a decal thing as far as switching numbers. And it's essentially the same team.
Yeah, Booty Barker has been his crew chief all along, and he was right there in victory lane.
Yeah.
So Aaron, awesome. I think you were going to say something and we cut you off.
Oh, no, it's fine. I was going to say, Bristol is going to be, I think, more entertaining this year than last year because, again, I mean, no one, besides maybe like Bell, Byron, maybe besides like the top 5, maybe top 4 is all they got to do is just survive. Everyone is still at play here to be eliminated.
Well, Bell is locked in on points. So yeah, he can go for whatever he wants. He's locked in on points. The rest, they're in a comfortable position as long as you're double digits. I think everyone behind Larson is more of in some similar to, I'm sorry, Ross Chastain, excuse me. He's plus 26. Everyone below him, 10th, 11th, 12th, 6, 2, and 2 points above the cut line. Something you need to worry about. But even, the likes of Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, even Alex Bowman, 30 points above the cut line. It's, you don't want to have a mistake. This is like the one race where you don't want to have a mistake. But anyway.
No, but unfortunately, it's at Bristol where it's very easy to make a mistake.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're going into that Bristol race, and the separation between 10th and 15th in points is only 13 points.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's transition over to the news. So, Zach, take us through the news stories.
Absolutely. So our first news story for the week is a bombshell. I think we didn't predict it. None of us did. I almost wanted to, but Kyle Busch announces that he will be a driver for RCR in 2023. So we finally get that domino to drop. He is headed to RCR. He's going to be in the 8 car as confirmed by Richard Childress himself. And they're going to find a third charter for Tyler Reddick in his lame duck season before he heads off to 23XI. So I know we probably have a lot of thoughts on this. What are your thoughts, Aaron? Let's start with you.
I mean, it is a bombshell, but I kind of feel like we had like a spoiler alert before this news dropped. I was seriously hoping that Toyota would not let Kyle Busch go, just because there's a lot of business opportunity with Kyle Busch. But apparently they just, for some reason, did not want to show her the money to keep him with Toyota. But, I mean, good for RCR, but kind of, it is so hard next year to see Kyle Busch in anything else other than the 18 car. It is going to be so hard. I'm still trying to get over the fact that Brad K is not with is on the 2 car anymore. I'm just now getting over that now. But man, good on Busch for going to seemingly an RCR team on the rebound. But it's just kind of next year. Next year will be weird for RCR with the whole Bush and Reddick situation. So again, it's like yeah, this saga is finally over, but I kind of feel like it was kind of spoiled for us. I think like last week, where the Atlantic pretty much dropped the news on us right there.
What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I don't think by the time they made the announcement on Tuesday, it shocked anybody. I think the shock came when it was kind of leaked out with, I don't know how many different people leaked it. I know Dale Earnhardt Jr. kind of put a not very cryptic tweet out there kind of announcing it. There are so many storylines to talk about on this, everything from stuff that everybody's already talked about how competitive is RCR going to be, what's Tyler Reddick's going to team situation going to look like, because he's going to be going into a whatever charter they're going to get, but it sounds like most of his team, including his crew chief, is going to be working on the 8 for Kyle Busch. To the KBM Motorsports is going to be switching over to Chevrolet. One of the things not many people have talked about is I think those KBM drivers, or at least the bulk of them, like John Hunter Nemechek, are signed to Toyota contracts, so they can't come over with him. We don't know the length of the contract, and they kind of dodged the question. They just said it was multi-year. They also didn't announce sponsorship. They said they have them lined up but aren't prepared to make the announcement yet. There's so many storylines. We could do a whole show just to this announcement, but it does bring to conclusion probably the biggest non-racing story of the season, and I'm anxious to see how it works out. I think all these people who were Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans from his days driving the 8 car are going to be very conflicted about whether to root for the 8 or not. I think that's a very compelling storyline too. There's so much we could talk about with this, but yeah, I'm just anxious to see it all continue to unfold.
Yeah, I'm very happy for Kyle Busch. I think our move for RCR, you're losing Reddick and you're getting Kyle Busch. Not a bad trade-off, but you know, I had an inkling that this was coming. I didn't have any confidence that Toyota was going to be able to put him in a car, because if they wanted to, they already had the head start, and ultimately it just didn't happen. And I think Toyota has, that is a big loss. I mean, you gotta look at it and say you're losing a 2-time champion, probably the most winningest driver, especially in Toyota history, not only in NASCAR history, and you're losing him to another team that you're gonna have to race with against him now. So it'll be interesting to me to see how that kind of works out and plays out. I mean, we saw Brad Keselowski leave Penske and go to RFK, and he really hasn't done much this season. And I think RCR is a little bit more competitive. It is interesting to me that they're moving Tyler Reddick out of the way and putting him in the 8. Where does he get that other charter from? I don't know. But now that it's already announced, you can't really. Your hands are tied, because you got to provide Tyler Reddick a seat or buy him out of his contract. And other teams with charters that are willing to sell are going to know that, and so you're going to be paying top dollar, along with paying Kyle Busch whatever kind of money that he wanted, which I guarantee was not cheap at all. But Kyle Busch still, I think, has a lot to give, and I think for RCR getting Kyle Busch Motorsports in their pipeline is a huge underrated storyline of this entire story, because now they have a true development pipeline from trucks to Xfinity to Cup, that they really can do a lot with. And I think if they do get that third charter, I think we could see RCR grow in the coming years. So we'll see. But yeah, like you said, it wasn't a surprise because it was leaked by Jeff Gluck ahead of time. I think a day after our podcast or something like that. And now we're talking about it, confirming it. after Kyle Busch announced it. So I think a lot of Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans are going to get their number 8 tattoos removed after this announcement. I don't know about how you guys think. But yeah, moving right along. North Wilkesboro is another major news story. North Wilkesboro is going to host the 2023 NASCAR All-Star Race. How amazing is this? I think this is exactly what any NASCAR fan wanted to see happen. We were talking about anywhere but Texas, and I think NASCAR fans were happy. And now it's being moved to North Wilkesboro, and I think that just puts the cherry on the top of this entire news story. What are your guys' thoughts, Tom? Let's start with you.
I don't think anybody saw this one coming. I mean, you think about this. This North Wilkesboro track was absolutely dead, 6 months ago? And you think about the path to resurrection that it has gotten. It is just, how crazy of a path is this, okay? Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets volunteers to show up and weed eat, sweep, clean off the track so it can be scanned for iRacing. So a video game was the catalyst. A video game was step one in North Wilkesboro coming back. Okay. Then you get the North Carolina legislature allocating funds in their budget to refurbish tracks. The next thing you know, NASCAR has approved the track, the surface being good enough for cup racing, and out of nowhere, they're putting the All-Star race there. This is epic. This is huge. It's so improbable, but it is so welcome and so what NASCAR needs right now. I think it is fantastic. You talk about, I've been critical of some of the moves NASCAR has made, but you talk about hitting a home run. They hit a big home run with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Aaron?
There's no saying that even a broken clock is right twice a day. Oftentimes, especially as of late, NASCAR has been made a very interesting calls on scheduling. With the Chicago road course and ditching Road America was, just go back to that video, you'll find out how I feel about it. But I think the clock had struck at the perfect hour for this news story. Fans have been clamoring for North Wilkesboro to come back, especially after how basically screwed over that track has gotten. The fan base over in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, has gotten screwed by NASCAR. And I think this is just freaking poetic justice that even though NASCAR has left North Wilkesboro to go to Texas, ruin Texas, and so they go right back to North Wilkesboro. Beautiful. It is poetic justice. Thank you, NASCAR, for doing this. You actually listened to us for once. For once, you actually listened to us. And see, we're happy with you now. Isn't that weird? Isn't that strange how that works? You just listen to us. We'll watch you. We'll sing your praises. Isn't that weird? It's odd. I mean, heck, even some of the drivers were clamoring for North Wilkesboro to come back. And guess what? You listen to them too. So it's a win-win-win all the way around.
Yeah. Good on NASCAR. I mean, I can't say it enough. I think a lot of us, like I said earlier, we were expecting anything but Texas. Please, we'll just be happy with. I mean, we'll take literally anything. They shocked us all, and I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. has has to take a lot of the credit for this, and after the late model race and the other races that were held at North Wilkesboro, I mean, it looks awesome. It looks ready to be run, and I'll be definitely going to that race when it happens. I'll be getting my tickets here shortly. Regardless of if it's on a Sunday night and it runs extremely long and it runs till like 2 a.m, I will be there in the stands. I definitely want to experience that. I think the nostalgia alone is just worth it. Not to mention I get to see NASCAR in person.
Yeah.
But
but I believe they also got Dale Jr. I think to be the grand marshal. I believe I heard that somewhere that they've already got Junior to do it.
More the merrier. Bring
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
I mean,
it's only fair.
when they were reopening the track, I think it was like a Tuesday night, and they had a sellout. I mean, I saw
Mhm.
pictures on Facebook of the track, and I'm like, they can do this on a Tuesday. There are cup races that can't do that on a Sunday.
No, I mean, yeah, I was watching the pictures on Twitter. It's the same as you guys, and it's like NASCAR had never left. The
Yep.
stands were packed. It was a sellout crowd. The racing was great. The retention was awesome. It's just, again, it just kind of brings back the point of why did they leave to begin with? I mean, I know they thought of a bigger market somewhere, but you had a guaranteed crowd at North Wilkesboro every single Sunday. Why leave them?
Yeah.
And that proves that point.
It would be hard to find a week where we had two bigger news stories than the Kyle Busch announcement and the North Wilkesboro announcement. You talk about two blockbuster news stories in 1 week. Wow.
I think North Wilkesboro is the heavy hitter of these. I mean, Busch, yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of leaked, but North Wilkesboro, again, Tom, like you said, nobody saw that coming. I was ecstatic when this was announced. I'm sure everybody else was ecstatic to where this finally one anywhere but Texas, two North Wilkesboro finally makes his miraculous comeback after being dead in the water for years. So it's awesome.
All right, Zach, keep us going.
All right. So our next news story: Denny Hamlin expects Kurt Busch in the 45 next season. What are you guys' thoughts on this? I don't know who I started with. Tom, let's start with you.
That is welcome news. I have not really been concerned about Kurt Busch in the playoffs or Bubba Wallace and going for the Owners Championship, but just the length of time it has taken Kurt Busch to come back has really just had me concerned for his overall health. I don't care if it is next year at the Clash at Daytona or if it is all the way to the All-Star break, and maybe he can run at North Wilkesboro. I don't care. It will just be so glad when I see him not just back behind the wheel, but knowing that being back behind the wheel means he is fully recovered and healthy. I've just been so concerned about the man's overall health that I think this is good news that they expect him back. And I really don't think he wanted to go out like this. I don't think this is how he wanted to retire. So I'm glad that his owner is sticking by him and giving him a chance to come back next season. Because I'm sure, somebody who's been in the sport as long as he has, done so much for so many teams, that this is not the way he would want to go out.
Absolutely. What about you, Aaron?
Honestly, again, this is one of the news stories where I'm glad that fears have been put to bed. Again, I mean, the last few weeks, I thought that Kurt Busch might just go ahead and say, "Yeah, I'm hanging up the helmet." The sport has. I'm at that age now to where I can't risk my health anymore. But I'm glad that he's back. I'm glad that he could be coming back next year. I mean, yeah, the helmet says Denny Hamlin expects Kurt Busch to come back. I mean, he could say differently next week, and I hope he doesn't. But I'm just glad that Kurt Busch is at least feeling well enough to say, yeah, I'm more than likely I'm coming back next year. So fears put to bed finally for Kurt Busch, because again, the sport just feels empty without him in it. It really does. And
Yeah.
I'm glad he'll be back next year.
I definitely want to see him back in there. I feel like this is more of just like a statement by Denny Hamlin saying that if he's coming back, he has a ride. So I'm glad that Denny Hamlin is projecting that confidence. But we'll have to see what happens. I mean, man, I don't think we've gotten any word since Ty Gibbs took his seat, or at least since he gave up his waiver. I haven't heard anything on his health at all.
The last thing that we heard, and it didn't specifically mention his health, but it was not good news to me, is when they made the change with Bubba Wallace to go after the Owners Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they phrased that, they said that he would be driving the 45 for the remainder of the season, which pretty much meant Kurt Busch is not coming back this year. And that was a big blow to me, to my hopes for Kurt's health, because we've gone from week to week to I hope he's back next week. I'm working with the doctors. I hope to be back next week. I hope to be back next week. I hope to be back, to somebody's replacing me for the remainder of the year. So that was not good news. So
Well, I think he's.
it didn't directly relate to his health, but just the fact that said, oh, now he's ruled out for the rest of the year. That was not a
Well,
positive sign.
they said that he would be driving the 23 if he came back. I don't know if you saw that in addition. They said that he would drive into 23, but because the 45 was in the Owners' Championship, that's why they put Bubba in it, because Bubba was doing better at the time and more experienced. They wanted him to compete for the Owners' Championship in the 45. But I believe I read in the statement where they said if Kurt Busch is able to return, he would be driving the 23 for how many ever races. But yeah, I haven't seen anything personally. I know we got those weekly updates on his health. I haven't seen anything weekly or anything in the news at all about his health, and so that kind of really concerns me. Even looking into next season as well, one, does he want to do this? I would lean more towards your theory, Tom, in saying that, I wouldn't say that he would want to go out like this at all. And so I think if he had the desire, or I'm sorry, if he was cleared, he would definitely have the desire to run. But it's just really concerning me looking and not seeing anything on his health at all. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I hope he's able to come back this season, but if not, I wouldn't rule out even just a part-time ride if he's not able to. If he doesn't want to do the full season, I wouldn't rule out a part-time ride or like a Daytona one-off or whatever. But I would love to see him, one final year if he's able to. So we'll see. But moving right along, Petty GMS announced personnel changes. Chad Norris will take over the crew chiefing duties for Ty Dillon. He did have Jeremy Donnelly as his first-year crew chief. He was a first-year crew chief in the NASCAR Cup Series, but now Chad Norris will replace him, become the interim crew chief for the 42 for the remainder of the 2022 season. Rumoring pretty much setting themselves up for Noah Gragson for next year. What are your thoughts on this, Aaron? Let's start with you.
I mean, you can't really go wrong with Chad Norris. I mean, he's a very experienced crew chief here in the Cup Series, and I think with him working with Ty Dillon for at least the short term future, it could kind of raise his stock a little bit to where he can find a new job somewhere next year, even for a part time ride. But yeah, I mean, I think something had to happen for Donnelly to be replaced this late into the season. I mean, even though everyone knew that the 42 was not going to be racing for really anything, I think something had to happen, or just a change of pace to try and get him, I think, above some sort of points. But still, you can't go wrong with Chad Norris. I feel kind of bad for Donnelly for being replaced this late in the season, though.
Yeah. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, and I guess it makes sense to, if you're going to make a change and you're already having a bad season and you're parting ways with your driver, to give somebody 7 or 8 races at the helm to see what they can do as crew chief. But this whole thing of making a change at this point in the season, especially knowing that the crew chief you're bringing in is not going to be working with the same driver that you got right now, seems a little odd to me. But I don't know. The flip side of that is, well, what you're doing isn't working, so you just will try something different. I'm just not sure about this move. I'm not necessarily completely against it, but I'm not completely for it. I'm kind of like a little bit not completely understanding it. But let's see how it plays out and see just how it goes.
Yeah. I think this is something, I don't know. I don't think necessarily the crew chief was at fault for the 42 and their performance this season. But getting Chad Norris and being able to slot him in as a crew chief, I think it's somebody that obviously Noah Gragson is very familiar with, in working with him with GMS and I think this is something where I think helps him understand the new car and get prepared for next season with Noah Gragson. So I think it's smart. If you don't have confidence in Jeremy, then go with Chad Norris, somebody who you're familiar with, who the driver that you're coming in with next season is familiar with, kind of get a head start. So why not? But moving right along, the last news story, and it's kind of a big one. Jeremy Clements wins his appeal of Daytona NASCAR penalty, and that will reinstate him in the playoffs and give all his points back. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Tom, let's start with you.
Can anybody name me the last time somebody won an appeal against NASCAR? I am just shocked. It's like you just don't win appeals against NASCAR, at least as much as I can remember. So good for Jeremy. That does tremendous amounts for him by putting him into the playoffs. I think it shakes things up from an Xfinity perspective a little bit, because now they're coming down to the end and you got Jeremy Clements in there, and that's one less spot for somebody else. So I think I'm thrilled for Jeremy because he's kind of the underdog and they're an underfunded team. But to me, he has pulled off two huge upsets, one with the win and second with winning the appeal.
Absolutely. What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, pretty much same reaction as Tom. I mean, I can't remember the last time that somebody actually won an appeal in NASCAR. I truly don't. But I mean, again, this is just a cherry on top for the feel-good story of Jeremy Clements. Of course, yeah, he got the win, but it's not going to go towards his championship status. But now it is. But great for him. Not so great for the rest of the field because again, that's one more spot gone. And so that will make the next two races very interesting to watch from the Xfinity perspective. Trying to see at least who who will kind of get those one of the last four spots. But just happy for Jeremy Clements for basically doing the impossible and actually saying and actually reversing NASCAR's decision on something. Good on him.
Yeah, I'm very happy that they won that appeal. From my understanding, it was not really something that you could really gain an advantage from. In fact, it would hinder their performance at Daytona from that part being the way it was. So I'm glad that NASCAR did, rescind their penalty in that scenario. And now Jeremy Clements is a playoff driver. This means so much to that team, that small team, and everyone on that team. I'm so very happy for him. And, now they get a chance to fight for a championship, and they might not make it, but I think it'll be a lot more money than what they potentially were going to get if they weren't in the playoffs. So good for them. And now, if I'm not mistaken, there's only one playoff spot, or realistically one playoff spot left in Xfinity. I could be wrong on that number, but interesting to see. And I think that's Landon Castle on the cut line. Excuse me. But that is the news for this week.
Okay. All right. So that brings us to who's hot and who is not. And Mike Hora telling us that Mike Harmon won an appeal for unapproved testing. So Mike Harmon may be the last guy before Jeremy Clements to win an appeal. But all right. Let's start with Aaron. Aaron, who you got for who's hot and who's not?
Well, for my who's hot this week, I got to go with Kyle's son, Brexton Busch, because it goes along with the Kyle Busch story of him going to RCR. Brexton pretty much already got a contract from RCR saying, "Hey, when you're old enough and you want to race, you come on over here and I'm trying to get a ride for you." So, I mean, good on him. He's basically living all of our dreams of being a NASCAR driver at the ripe old age of 7? 7 or something. I don't know how old his son is.
I don't know how old his son either, but yeah, good for
But
Brexton.
anyways, like yeah, like come on, man. Oh, sorry, 6.
6.
6-year-old. Like man, if I was 6-year-old, I would take him that like on the spot. Like yes, I would drive for you. Just
Yeah.
just give me a car. I'll drive it for you. I'll figure out how it works later. But hey, Bryson Bush, name to watch out for in the next 12, 13 years. But who's hot, or excuse me, who's not? Gotta go with Chase Charles again, and just seemingly unable to avoid any controversy or any misfortune that goes their way for the second straight week. Again, it seems like maybe only a handful of drivers, you can count them probably on one hand, avoided any sort of madness that happened this week at Kansas. And Kansas, of all places, I mean, come on, it's literally the definition of a cookie cutter track. How can you not avoid controversy or avoid chaos there? But they find a way to do it. So that's my who's hot, or excuse me, who's not this week.
All right, Zach, who you got for who's hot and who's not?
For my who's hot, I'm going to go with Christopher Bell. He has a 12.2 average finish since the first Kansas race, which is only bested by Chase Elliott's 12.1. He has the second most top 5s in the past 15 races with 6, the most top 10s out of any driver in that span. And I would like to add that he's probably, he is and should be considered a championship contender at this point with how well he's done in the back half of this season. As far as my who's not, I'm going to go with Kyle Busch on the track, not off the track. On the track, he in the past 15 races, he has 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 7 top 20s. He holds an average finish of 20.4 in that span, which ranks 7th worst out of all drivers in the series. Pretty awful. And there has been some issues on the track, but no wins in 15 races, and you're only getting 2 top 5s. Not a good look. And now he's only sitting 2 points shy of getting knocked out of the first round of the playoffs. When is the last time that you could say that for Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs Racing? I can't remember. So it must not have been that often. But that's my who's hot, who's not for this week.
Yeah, I think with Kyle Busch, I can't remember the last time there has been a driver where you have seen so much disparity between the speed they showed on the track and the finishes they've had. Because he has had fast cars and he has been running with the leaders in these races and has just had, whether it be getting caught in an accident or a mechanical failure or whatever, it's just horrible luck. I mean, if Kyle Busch only had bad luck over the last 10 or 15 races, it would be a huge improvement. And Mike Horrer reminding us that Childress did the same thing that Hendrick did with Junior. So kind of really cool that he did that. I think the difference was, I think Junior approached Hendrick. I think it was Junior who wrote it on like a napkin or something and got Rick Hendrick to sign it. So I think it was done kind of approaching the other way around, but I'm not certain about that. Okay. That leaves it up to me for who's hot and who's not. And for my not, I'm kind of going to piggyback off the theme that both of you guys had, similar to Kyle Busch's luck and similar to Aaron's comment about playoff drivers. I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick. 2 horrible playoff races, both of them not indicative of the speed he had in the car. He made this huge late season resurgence with 2 wins in a row, and now we are into the playoffs, and he could not have had a worse time to have this run of bad luck, but he is now 35 points below the cut line after having cars that were probably easily top 10, maybe top 5 cars in both playoff races, and he's setting 35 points below the cut line. That has got to be your definition of not hot. We'll see if he can win his way in, but he is definitely my who is not. My who is hot is Toyotas at Kansas, and I alluded to this when I covered the race. Toyota owns Kansas right now. The 45 number car, even though it was really 2 different drivers and 2 different teams, has won both Kansas races, and of course the 45 is a Toyota. Toyota took 4 of the top 5 spots in this race and 5 of the top 6 in the spring. So Toyotas at Kansas are my who is hot. And that will wrap it up and bring us to green flag, red flag, led by Aaron.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know how this stuff works. Those of you in the chat, please, I will remind you once again, please leave your comments on what you think, on whether you agree, which is green flag, or disagree, which is red flag, on these teams and questions, because we always love to hear your feedback. But getting right into it, number 1 for the night. Does Richard Childress or Kyle Busch benefit more from his move to RCR? Green flag for Richard Childress for RCR benefits more from this move, or Kyle Busch benefits more from this move. Green flag or red flag? Zach, we'll go with you first.
I honestly think Richard Childress benefits from this move, in my opinion, the most. When you look at it, Kyle Busch is coming from Joe Gibbs Racing, who has been one of the best teams in the past 2 decades. And RCR, has been on somewhat of a decline. When you look at this past season, it's kind of been an anomaly. They've won multiple races and been, I think they've been up there in points quite a few times this season. So, yeah, I think getting a driver of Kyle Busch's caliber and being able to utilize not only his truck series team, but that progression really, really helps Richard Childress Racing and his experience. I mean, right now your most experienced driver is Austin Dillon, and he's a good driver, but he's not on the same level as Kyle Busch. So you're getting a guy that can really help your team win and be competitive on a weekly basis. And you might lose out in the long run, which, losing Reddick in the long run will hurt RCR, but in the short term, you'll definitely be gaining a lot here, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go green flag here.
All right, Tom, state your case.
I'm going to agree. Green flag. This elevates Richard Childress Racing to a top tier organization right now. To me, I don't know that it puts them on par with Joe Gibbs and Hendrick Motorsports, but it puts them in the conversation by having Kyle Busch driving for them. If there's anybody out there who can absolutely get the most out of a car and get all the speed out of a car that's in it, you got to put Kyle Busch in that conversation. This is a guy who through most of his career was known as, if it's got 4 tires and a steering wheel, he can drive it and probably win with it. So bringing him in, I think, is great. If you listen to some of the things on the radio, he is tremendous at giving feedback, which I think is going to help the overall organization. And I really think if you look at where both people are right now, Kyle Busch is up here. He's a top-tier driver. Richard Childress is here. I don't know that it elevates Kyle Busch any by going to Richard Childress, but it definitely elevates Richard Childress by having Kyle Busch there. So I'm going green flag.
All righty. In my declaration, I will have to agree with the both of you. Let's face it, RCR has been a mid-pack team for the last God knows how long. Dylan is okay.
A mid-pack driver. A mid-pack driver for a mid-pack team.
Mid-pack at most of his days. Some days he just pulls out a win out of his ass, but let's face it, he's not getting you there. Reddick is probably the best driver that RCR has seen in quite a while. He's leaving at the end of the year, so getting Kyle Busch is like honestly getting a home run already for RCR. That's going to at least get them to be competitive and get their name out there more, besides having Reddick pretty much carry the organization on his back. But yeah, I think RCR benefits more from this move than Kyle Busch does. It sucks for Toyota, but hey, if you do want to pay him, that's what happens. All right, so I believe we got Extreme Dirt Racing saying RCR. I think RCR benefits and Kyle Busch benefits. So yeah. So for both parties, for Mike Hora. So yeah, pretty much everyone's saying RCR is getting the most benefit, which we all agree to. All right, green flag, red flag number 2 of the night. Bubba Wallace would get his 3rd career win before the season ends. Green flag or red flag? Tom, we'll start with you.
This is tough. I'm going to say red flag. If you look at the places that we have got coming up here, okay, Texas, I think he ran 16th at the All-Star race at Texas. Talladega, he definitely has a good shot at. The Charlotte Roval, Toyotas have been abysmal as a group at road courses. We haven't ran Homestead before. At Las Vegas, he was 25th. And at Martinsville, he was 16th. And at Phoenix, he was 22nd. Now, I know the Toyotas have found a lot of speed since the beginning of the year, and there's a lot of the stuff that happened to Toyotas at the beginning of the year were related to mechanical failures, but it just doesn't bode well for him. These haven't been tracks that he ran strong at the beginning of the year. So I think Talladega is his best shot, but right now I'm going to say no, he does not get his 3rd win just because I don't think these are tracks that favor him right now, even though the Toyotas have a lot of speed.
Okay. Zach, what do you think?
He's had a lot of speed, but I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
I think it takes a lot to win a race, and everything really did come together really well for Bubba to win this one as well. I mean, and there's been some tracks where he could have won at, had his pit crews given him a chance, but I'm just gonna say that I think some of the playoff drivers will be turning up the wick, so to speak, and giving more of these drivers a run for their money, in my opinion. But we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. I will have to agree with the guys. Red flag here. I mean, I'm kind of going through the recent or going through the season of where Wallace has finished, and yeah, pretty much what Tom said. I'm not seeing any clear evidence from this season where Wallace has a shot at winning besides Talladega. But then again, it's Talladega. Anything can happen. Yeah, I'm going to go red flag. But then again, there is one constant to this season is that 2022 can be summed up as it is pure chaos. Nothing makes sense. Data means nothing anymore. So why not just throw something at the wall, see if it sticks, because that's probably the best shot you're going to have. So all of us can be completely wrong here. And Wall just steals one because why not? This 2022, anything can happen. Let's see. Extreme Dirt Racing says that red flag. That was done when it canceled, but the playoff drivers will only get more aggressive as the season comes to an end. That is completely true. That is a very good statement, but the question is, can they get out of their own way first? That's going to be step one. Is can they not beat themselves up before they go beat up somebody else? All right. Green flag, red flag number 3 of the night. We will see another non-playoff driver win this weekend at Bristol. Green flag or red flag, Zach? What do you think?
Martin Truex Jr. has not done well in his career at Bristol, or at least over the past couple seasons. He has not done really well at all at Bristol. So I really can't see him winning it. Ryan Blaney could, but I'm gonna say no. I think there'll be a trend broken. As much as I would love to see the entire first round be won by drivers currently not in the playoffs. I just think that there's too many playoff drivers for that to happen at this point that have not won.
Okay. Tom, what say you?
Yes, we will see a non-playoff driver win this weekend at Bristol. Non-playoff guys are going to sweep the entire first round of the playoffs. So here we go. Are you ready for this? Not only is it going to happen, but I'm going to tell you who it's going to be.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so
I think I know
it
who
is
it is.
going to be Eric Jones. In 3 of his last 4 races, he has got finishes of 8th, 5th, and 3rd at Bristol. So he had a bad race there in, I think it was well, no, we didn't have to go there in the spring. He had a bad race last year at Bristol coming home. Oh, no, actually, he came home 8th last year. But last 3 races, 8th, 5th, and 3rd, Eric Jones is going to be your non-playoff driver who completes the non-playoff driver sweeping the first round of the playoffs. So you heard it here first.
That is a very bold claim, but I will unfortunately have to side with Zach here. I think the streak will come to a close at Bristol. I think we'll be playoff driver because there are so many playoff drivers that need to have a win. One of them is bound to hit eventually, and so I think it's going to be a playoff driver that wins. I'm not going to say who it is because honestly, I don't know, but I do not think it will be another non-playoff driver, even though I would love for it to be, because that would just add more fuel to this already raging chaos fire. But I think it will be a red flag. I think it will be a playoff driver that will win. Let's see. Mike Cora is saying also red flag. I think Harvick or Elliott wins. One of them will pull out something out of their ass. I completely agree, Mike. I mean, it's going to happen eventually. The horseshoe has to drop somewhere. Somewhere and sometime. I think Bristol might happen. Let's see. Extreme Dirt Racing says I dropped the flags on this one. Who knows? Who knows at Bristol? Yeah, I fully agree. All right, last green flag, red flag of the night. Green flag, red flag 2. What are Kevin Harvick's odds of advancing to the second round of the playoffs? Green flag says slim or red flag for none. Tom, what say you?
You know, I'm going to say that Slim has buckled his seatbelt and has driven out of the Coliseum that is Bristol. I'm going to say it's none. I think there's a lot of guys that need a chance to advance. I think there's a lot of bad things that can happen at Bristol. I think although Harvick ran well last year at Bristol, I don't know that I consider that one of his best tracks. So I'm going to say none. And I hate to say that because I love Harvick. I'm for the old guys. I love Harvick. I want to root for him. My heart says yes, but I'm just going to go with my head and say it is none.
All right, Zach, what say you?
I am going to say none as well. It's very, very. You got basically 36 other drivers that you're racing against, and you got to beat them all. And I think there's a lot of pressure. I think it'd take a lot. And although the team proved me wrong before, love for them to prove me wrong again. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening this time, to be honest.
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to overrule all of you and say green flag. Because, again, this season has been a chaos-fueled, raging wildfire. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody can tell what's going on. You can only hope to guess. I mean, a meteorologist has a better chance of guessing the weather than an analyst knows who's going to win a race. I mean, hell, we've seen Kevin Harvick do it before. At Phoenix back in 2014, he had to win to get into the Final Four, and guess what? He won the race. We gave Harvick zero chance of making it into the playoffs last year, and guess what? He made it into the playoffs last year. But it seems like when the chips are down, Harvick is at his best, and so plus it's Bristol, where bumping and trading paint is king. Harvick, he has nothing to lose. He knows that he has to win to get in. So he loses nothing by shoving someone out of the way, using the chrome horn to get what he wants or get what he needs. And Harvick is not afraid to do that. And so I think if he's in the right spot, he's got a chance. It may be like a 99.999 repeating from like Boston to LA chance that he doesn't make it in. There's still that 0.00 repeating one chance that he gets in. And so I got to go with green flag has a slim chance, but there's still a chance. See, Mike Hoare responding, green 50-50 chance that he gets in. I got to agree.
Oh, Mike, come on, 50-50.
Yeah, I won't say 50-50, but I will agree with you on the green flag.
Okay. All right. So, what are we up to? We are up to the preview of Bristol. That was a nice segue there. So, preview of Bristol. So, who do you guys have winning at Bristol this weekend? Let's start with Zach.
Sure. All right, I'm going to go with Chase Elliott. Let's see here. Pull up the statistics. Chase Elliott, in 5 races, he does not have a win, although he was very, very close to getting a win last year before a penalty. He has a top 5, 2 top 10s, and 3 top 20s. To me, especially, I mean, it's Bristol. I think the Hendrick cars definitely have an advantage here. We're headed to a somewhat new track. I think it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, but I have Chase Elliott winning here. Kind of needs a win as well. I mean, he doesn't have to win, but it would definitely help his case and get him some more playoff points for the next round. As far as my dark horse, I put Ryan Blaney. In 5 races, he has 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and 4 top 20s. He's led a bunch of laps and average finish of around 14th. So not bad. And I think he could get a win.
Okay. Not bad picks.
All right, Aaron, who you got?
All right. For my picks, I got to go with Young Money, Kyle Larson as my pick. 8.7 average finish in the last 3 races. Out of that 8.7, he has 1 win, 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, 3 top 20s, 237 laps led, an average start of 7.7, which is needed at Bristol because you need that track position early. I mean, Larson, of course, he won the Bristol race last year. I expect him to kind of get his stride back now at Bristol. It just always seemed to suit his style of racing. You gotta be aggressive there. And Larson is a very aggressive driver. So I got to go with Kyle Larson for my pick. But for my dark horse, based on stats, I have to go with Brad Keselowski. Or excuse me, Brad Keselowski. There we go. I will continue to use that term because I love it. I will go, of course, Brad stats in the last 5 races. 12.4 average finish with 1 win, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 4 top 20s with 338 laps led. Of course, most of that has been with Penske, but this track does seem to favor Brad Keselowski better. and that team has slowly been getting better over the course of the season. So I got to go with Brad K just to try and give him a little bit of love. So those are my 2 picks, and knowing me, those 2 picks are probably going to wreck out in like 10 laps. So
don't pick my picks in fantasy, please. Guaranteed loss.
Yeah, don't pick mine.
Okay, all right. This is supposed to be race previews. I want to talk about the race for a minute before I get into my picks, okay? Watch this race because it is going to be crazy. They're going to have the little ticker up on the screen that shows who's in, who's out, and by how much, okay? That thing is going to overheat and melt down, okay? You have 6 drivers. I'm doing this right to get it on the screen. 6 drivers with plus or minus 9 points from the cut line. Stage points are going to be critical. People are going to be moving up and down through the field. You're going to see all these drivers throughout the course of the night. At some point they're in, at some point they're out. It's going to be fun to watch, and I expect it to come down to the very, very end and be very, very close as far as who gets in, who out. I expect this to come out of there with somebody making it in probably by a single point, because you got 6 drivers within 10 points of the cut line going into this. The one guy who's not going to have to worry about that, though, is the winner of the race, which is going to be Kyle Busch. Okay, so Kyle Busch goes in there, similar to the way we saw Bubba Wallace get a big lift in performance, kind of like a weight was lifted off his shoulder when he signed the contract and renewed with 23XI. Now that Kyle Busch has made the big announcement, there's no more secrets, there's no more stress. He can get back to focus on driving the car, and we're at one of his favorite tracks. He's going to grab the win. He's got 2 fourths and a second in the last 3 paved races at Bristol, and he won the last dirt race at Bristol. So Kyle Busch is going to win it. Plus, I know we haven't been to a short track lately, but the Toyotas have been showing a lot of speed. They may be just a step ahead of everybody else in this next-gen car, regardless of what track we're on right now. And I already said my dark horse was Eric Jones, 2 top 5s in the last 3 races at Bristol. Hasn't finished worse than 8th in any of those races. And he's got a little bit of momentum coming off that Darlington win. So those are my picks: Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, dark horse, and favorite for Bristol. But watch the race. It is going to be crazy seeing who's in and who's out throughout the course of the night.
Yeah, that race is not one you want to miss.
I mean, as if the night race at Bristol is not exciting enough, but turn it into a cutoff race and have this many people this close to the cutoff line. Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Yep, Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern. Which I will actually be able to watch that. Yes, thank you, night races. But oh Lord, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, like I said earlier, apparently it's supposed to be the fastest they've ever run on Bristol with the new car and the new package that they brought. We'll see how it races. They said if you don't, I think I read or not, I listened to another podcast. They're like, yeah, if you don't unload well, it's going to be a rough night. So we'll have to see if that rings true.
Yep. All right, we are up to our parting comments. Who wants to jump in with their first parting comment?
I'm not me.
Let's see. Apparently, we're supposed to get a schedule here soon as to what is gonna be on the schedule for next season. Tomorrow. So, unfortunately, not in time for our podcast, but take a look and see next week, and maybe we'll have a schedule out for you. So yeah, that is going to be my parting comment because I was not prepared for this week, unfortunately.
Okay. All right, Aaron, you want to go next or do you want me to?
Tom, you go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
Okay, so I am really excited about tomorrow. Tomorrow, I am going back to the emergency room that treated me when I had my heart attack. I found out that the doctor that treated me rotates around to different hospitals and different ERs, but he is going to be back at my local hospital tomorrow, along with a lot of the same staff that worked on me. So I am stopping by tomorrow to tell them thanks for all their efforts, for everything they did to me. They literally saved my life. And I got them a little something that I am taking with me to present to them tomorrow. So that is a chocolate chip cookie cake that I am taking with me and giving to them tomorrow. So I am so excited to go there. I'm so excited to have the chance to actually thank them in person. There will be a lot of hugs. There will probably be more than a few tears, at least at least coming from me. But I am so thankful to all of those people who worked so hard so that I could be here today. And I am so grateful for the chance just to go back and tell them thanks. So I am really, really excited about what tomorrow brings. So that is my parting comment.
Awesome.
Awesome. I guess for my parting comment, all I gotta say is if you are not from the South, this summer has been insane. With humidity and that 1 week where it was just in the 90s for a pretty much a majority of the day, and the nights wasn't much better. It was all humid, sticky, sweaty. It was just not a good time in the South. But today, oh, it was so beautiful. Blue skies, not a cloud for miles. The air had just a little bit of crisp in the morning. It was just, oh my gosh, so beautiful, which means fall is right around the corner. Thank God summer is going away. All that humidity, all that stickiness, all the bugs that I hate to deal with, they can all go in the ground somewhere. I don't care where they go. Just get away from me. And it's just, fall is my favorite holiday. Fall is my favorite season in the year. And it is on the doorstep. I hear it coming up the driveway. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Summer is about to freaking end.
Okay.
I
I think
agree.
you're happier than I am, and that's saying something.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Screw summer, man. It sucks.
I love the winter.
Yeah, fall and winter are my two favorite holidays. Summer can bite it.
Yeah.
All right, with that, we are done. We are calling it a show. We will catch you guys next week. We will talk all about Bristol. I'm sure there will be a lot to go through once we get through the Bristol night race. Always exciting, and it becomes even more exciting when it's a cutoff race. So we will catch y'all next week. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in. Thanks for playing along. Have a good night, everybody. Catch you later.
Bye, guys.